If you keep your feet from breaking the Sabbath and doing as you please on my holy day, if you call the Sabbath a delight and call the Lord's day honorable, and if you honor it by not going your own way and not doing as you please or speaking idle words, then you will find joy in the Lord, and I will cause you to ride triumph in the heights of the land and feast in the inheritance of your father Jacob. So I need a little bit of help with this line. So it's talking about, so this, with God, he's faithful in all he does, right? So he's faithful to take care of you, and he's faithful in his what he tells you is good. So he's telling them to honor specifically the holy day. And the holy day was supposed to be given up. Well, Jesus said it was for our needs, but these people weren't doing it for our needs, and they're probably being selfish, right? Because I read in the Bible. I know it's bad to sell and trade and do all these money, like making big money, just doing anything, right, on the Sabbath day in that way, right? And I believe the reason was because it was selfish, and they just started becoming workaholics, basically, to get something they don't need, and just maybe that they want, just getting something that they wanted. So it caused a lot of greed and selfishness. So God, did not want them doing these things on their holy day, right? And going their own way. This is before the Holy Spirit too. So I guess there's probably a big change that happens between the Holy Spirit coming in through Jesus Christ, right? The gift, and the old selfish ways, right? Because this is when we were a slave to sin. So the ways were probably a little bit more extreme. This is more like the sinner now is, I guess, doing something bad, and we want to bring them to Christ. And we tell them, hey, don't do it your way. Come to God and do it the Holy Spirit's way, which he gives, right? This isn't some random obedience kind of training thing. I think this is like a real, just a genuine, what he already tells us in the Bible, and obeying. He says, well, in the Old Testament, it would be, keeping your feet from breaking the Sabbath, helping the hungry and homeless and not oppressing the poor. And I guess that'd still be the same today, except for, the Sabbath, the Sabbath was built for man. I guess resting and not being too foolish, not being overly zealous, but still working when we can. But for our, needs, Bible's like, what's his name, was a tent maker and stuff. I just think that like some people say this to someone who's on the right path and following God, and they say those words like that, hey, you need to follow God and listen to God, when God's will is supposed to be discerned, but he tells us his will, which is to give thanks and to believe in his son. And then we slowly transform through the Holy Spirit. And a lot of people force people in an extreme direction, which or not force people, but